As many of you know, director Christopher Nolan has a new film slated to come out on July 21st, 2017. However, in typical Nolan style, we're still pretty much in the dark about what that project may be, until perhaps now. According to a report in the playlist, rumors are now circulating that Nolan's next film will be a World War II true story based on Operation Dynamo, which was a near miraculous evacuation of the British Expeditionary Force and other Allied troops from the French seaport of Dunkirk, which took place from May to June in 1940. The 8-day evacuation ended up saving the lives of 300,226 soldiers with a hastily assembled fleet of over 800 boats. John, do you think the report is true? And if so, does this sound like a Nolan film you'd be interested in seeing?
Well, the first question is, of course, the big question. Is this rumor true? Now, I guess there's some outlet that is saying that that's going to be his next film. Either way, we're going to find out officially, considering the release date's in a year and a half. We're going to find out officially what Nolan's next film is very soon anyway. So this could be it. I mean, it could fit. So let's operate on the assumption for a second that this report is true and real. Okay, it may not be, but let's operate on the assumption that it is for a second. If it is, this is the right move for Christopher Nolan. I mean, he's been locked into fantasy kind of, if you want to talk about Inception and things like that, sci-fi element, all this kind of wondrous stuff. For him to come back down and do something like a World War II film, to me, when I think about it, it feels like Nolan could be setting up, Operation Dynamo, as his Spielberg version of Saving Private Ryan. This could be Nolan's Saving Private Ryan. And I believe it's this kind of film that is lacking on Christopher Nolan's repertoire. You know, a lot of times we talk about the greatest directors of all time and, which directors are we putting on that Mount Rushmore? And I talk a lot about how I believe Spielberg greatest of all time, partially because, well, mainly because he's just the best director ever lived, but partially because Spielberg over his career has shown he can do anything. Like from comedy, fantasy, action, war film, like almost anything you name it, he's done it. For Christopher Nolan now to kind of switch gears a little bit and do something like a World War II epic, that would tell me now, look, let's be honest, Christopher Nolan now has all the money in the world. He ain't wondering where his bus fare is coming from. He has all the money in the world. He's lacking an Oscar on his mantle, but that aside, he's known as one of the great filmmakers of our age. If he takes on a big World War II epic, one of the things that tells me is that Nolan is starting now at this young age to think about legacy. He's starting to think about where is his place going to be 20 years from now, 30 years from now, when people talk about the greatest directors of all time. He's absolutely one of the greatest directors of our generation right now. But to me, and I think to a lot of people, he's not in that upper echelon, that Mount Rushmore of directors' conversations yet, just because he's so young in his career. He hasn't had time. He may very well get there. And I think if it turns out he's doing this World War II film, he's thinking legacy. He's thinking his place in history. And he might actually be starting to think about that one empty space on his mantle that he's got waiting for his best director academy, because you know he's going to get one or two or more at some point. And I just think this would be a brilliant move for him. And as a fan, just a movie fan, to see a gritty, based on true events, World War II film directed by Christopher Nolan. I mean, my God, that's awesome. That is awesome. It would instantly become one of the most anticipated films of 2017 if this is gay. Now let's call a spade a spade. Christopher Nolan could put out a documentary in 2017 about his thought process and decision-making process on how he came about wiping his ass from front to back instead of back to front, and it's still going to be one of the most anticipated films.
That could cause infection.
Really? Because I did not know that. Infection. We need to talk off air. You learn something new every day. But I mean, that movie alone, because of Christopher Nolan, would be one of the most anticipated. But seriously, a World War II film by Christopher Nolan absolutely would be one of the most anticipated films of the year. Super excited about it.
This looks like Christopher Nolan does Steve Jobs. That's what this graphic looks like to me.
He's got these rocking the turtleneck right now. He looks like he's about to show us the new iPad. That'd be awesome.
Hey guys, if you like this clip, click here to watch the entire episode. Also, make sure you subscribe to our YouTube channel because it'll help you stay up to date with all the stuff we've got going on here at Collider.